Thanks for coming out tonight. I put my contact and bio info on the slide behind me. I'm assuming you all read binary, but I've also been told you only have 15 seconds, so you might want to, My name's Mike Gamson. I'm the IT director at the Hillel Academy in Tampa, where I teach computer science classes, and specifically I teach coding and binary reading and writing to fifth graders. And when we talk about computer science classes, a lot of times this guy gets credited with creating the binary language and binary counting. But I'm here to tell you that thousands of years before he ever powdered his first wig, there were ancient Chinese philosophers and Taoist poets creating their own binary language. And they put it together in a book, and the book was called the I-Ching, or the Book of Changes. And it was a way for them to both codify and randomize the observations they were making about the world around them. And the book was originally designed to be a handbook or a guidebook for the royal courts, for princes and emperors and things like that. But over the centuries, it got handed down to common folk like myself. And eventually it got translated into every language on the planet, to the point where now millions of people for thousands of years have looked to the I-Ching for guidance and inspiration. And the I-Ching works a lot like a computer. It has an input and it has an output. The input is not a keyboard or a mouse, but it's 3 coins. When you throw these 3 coins, you end up with the output. And the output is a binary digit, a bit. But it's not a 1 or a 0. It's a yin line or a yang line. And what happens is when you start building these I-Ching symbols, you build them in pairs. And the one on the left side represents a situation the way it currently is. And the one on the right side represents a situation the way it might become in the future. But it really starts to get interesting when we start stacking these lines on top of each other. Because when we put 3 of these lines on top of each other, we end up with what's called a trigram. And you might recognize trigrams from Taoist art, or the Korean flag has trigrams. They represent 8 different natural elements on Earth, things like heaven and mountains and lake and things like that. But the story really starts to get told when we stack the trigrams on top of each other. We end up with hexagrams. And there's 64 different hexagrams, and each one corresponds to a chapter in the I-Ching. And these chapters in the I-Ching are written as short poetic verses. Over the centuries, scholars and commentators and philosophers have written interpretations of these verses to the point where there's thousands and thousands of pages, thousands of characters of commentary and data. Somebody like myself might have a collection of books when I go to study the I-Ching to get all the different perspectives from millennia, from centuries of commentary. A lot of people in Western culture think the I-Ching is a fortune-telling device, but I'm here to tell you it's a lot more like an augmented reality device. What happens is you might ask a question of the I-Ching, but it's not going to give you an answer. It's going to give you a perspective. Okay, so I might say, should I get a new puppy? Should I have another beer? Whatever it is. Or I might just be looking at my day. The I-Ching doesn't say, yes, you should, no, you shouldn't. What the I-Ching says is, here are 4,000 different combinations of perspectives that you can put over your reality, over your question. Here's a way to view a situation through the eyes of ancient wisdom, of ancient philosophy, of ideas that have been honed for centuries and centuries. So every day you can take a situation and turn it and put another lens over it, and turn it and put another lens over it. In my personal experience, the more perspectives you can get of a situation, the more creative you become, the more productive you become, the better a leader you can become. When you can understand multiple perspectives, your view becomes wider and wider and wider. That's what the augmented reality of the I-Ching does. Now, am I here to tell you tonight that the I-Ching, because it has binary digitry, augmented reality, thousands of characters of stored data, was the first original digital computing device? Well, to paraphrase Robert Mueller, based on the evidence, I can't say that it was, but I certainly can't rule it out. Thank you all for indulging me this evening. If you want to talk about the I-Ching, that's where I am. Thank you.